right, good stuff. Well, I am Kantis Simmons, and tonight we're going to talk about the 3 common mistakes that students make in school that's hurting their grades and also causing their parents a lot of pain and disappointment. Now, if you've never ever heard my story, one of the things that you will discover about me tonight is that I am a nerd. Yes, I am. And what that simply means is I grew up with a phone in my hand. Yep, I'm this guy right here. Grew up as a nerd. And one of the things that I learned early on with my parents was that if I wanted to be whatever I wanted to be, if I wanted to do, if I wanted to have and be something in life, that is going to take a lot of action. And as a young man growing up, I not only spent some time being a nerd, but we also grew up being a what I call a fine, sexy nerd. There I am on the beach, growing up as a young man. Also around the age of 4 or 5, my mom and dad put me in what you call nursery. And that began my journey tonight. A lot of times people ask me, you know, how were you able to go to school for a long period of time? And this is why. I went to school 6 months after my mom and dad actually birthed me. And this was my very first graduation at the age of 5 there in kindergarten. I was born out of my mother's womb at the age of course, 0. 6 months later, entered into school, went all the way through pre-K, and my very first time graduating was in kindergarten. Later on, I went on to spend some time all the way through high school. Up in the top right-hand corner here is when I was in high school, graduated with honors. Over to the left-hand side here is when I was in undergrad at Norfolk State University. I got a BS degree in chemistry. Later on, at the bottom right-hand corner, I received a Master of Science degree from Lehigh University in the area of polymer science and engineering. And then later went on to receive another degree from Georgia Tech. And that positioned me to work jobs at NASA, where I worked specifically on rockets and military aircraft, where I dealt with materials and any of the parts that went on the shuttles, the aircraft, and making sure that we had proper pressure on the shuttles, where I developed some pressure sensitive paint to measure outside forces on those planes, those space shuttles, and those rockets. And tonight, real quick, we're gonna talk about some foundational things that we have here. But before I do so, I'm gonna go back to my camera here and make sure that everyone is able to see me live here on the call. Good stuff. Somebody in the chat room, just let me know that we're good. All right. In the chat room, yes, great. Hey, Felicia, good stuff. Let me just speak to a few people. Great. So as I was saying tonight we're going to deal with the 3 common mistakes that students make. And as I was saying earlier there, I spent more than 25 years in school. And the reason I say that, I don't say that from a braggadocious place. I just say it from the standpoint that most of my life I've been in school. And not only that, most of my failures have been in school. I remember the very first time when it was time for me to apply to college out of high school. And one of the things that I was passionate about doing was going to participate in Florida A&M's marching band. Now, if anybody ever seen the marching band with Florida A&M, they know they can really pick it up and put it down. Well, at Florida A&M, I applied out of high school to go to that college. And they said, Kantis, we love you. We want to offer you a full academic band scholarship. And it's the SAT scores. So I sent in my SAT scores. And after taking the SAT scores, after taking the SAT, after the fourth time, my scores came up not so well. Actually, I was 40 points short from the requirement to attend Florida A&M University and actually have a full academic band scholarship. Well, of course, like anybody else, having a scholarship taken from you or wanting to go to the college of your choice and you didn't get in, now that caused some pain and some frustration in my life. So what happened after that, I had a job. I was a lawn care engineer. That's where I cut grass for a living. And as I cut grass for a living, I was able to hear some words from my client, and her name was Miss Gardner. And this one Saturday, I was cutting Miss Gardner's grass, going back and forth, cutting her grass. And Miss Gardner said something to me. She said, "Kantis, what's going on with you? Why the sad face?" And actually, I had a few tears to fall out of my eyes. And he said, "Hey, what's wrong?" I said, "Well, Miss Gardner, I came up 40 points short on my SAT after taking it the fourth time, and I won't be able to go to Florida A&M University. And probably because my mom and dad don't really have money, I will probably spend some time cutting your grass for the rest of my life." Now, that's what I thought in my mind because of a failure. And then Miss Gardner said these words to me: "Son, even though it appears that way, don't quit." And those two words, "don't quit," it did something to me. It sounded different that day. It wasn't just, "Hey man, don't quit." But those words hit my heart. Don't quit. And then later on, I had a conversation with Ms. Gardner to spend some time talking about my next step. Ended up going to Norfolk State University. Now, I share that story because that was one of the hardest things I had to deal with as a student because I wasn't accepted on that test. Now, as a high school student, I had really good grades. And because I had really good grades, I was able to, end up on the honor roll and at the highest GPA as a young man in my school. But it was something about that test where I was not accepted. So I had good grades, but I didn't take standardized tests so well. So tonight, what I want to do is be able to help you, whether you're a student, whether you're a parent, to go through some of the things that you can do specifically to improve your grades. Now, I've used these techniques as I went through college and undergrad and grad school, and I've also been sharing these techniques with some of the mentees that I work with in my programs and the books that I offer. So I'm gonna go back to my screen share here, and I'm gonna talk about these mistakes that students are making in school. And again, in the chat box here, just let me know that we are good. Great stuff. Thank you, thank you, thank you. So after leaving NASA working there, I ended up spending some time developing contact lenses. Now, this was years after undergrad, years after grad school. And I got back into the profession that I am in now because I wanted to do what I'm doing now and help more people. Now, tonight, I wanted to have a few foundational things that we must understand, that nothing in life just happens and good grades won't either. Everything you have to do in school, you must be intentional. What does intentional mean? Intentional simply means you're doing something on purpose to get a reaction or to cause a reaction or an action to take place because you're intentionally doing something. And tonight, these foundations, these habits, and these tips that I'm going to give you, you must be intentional about doing them. Foundation number 2. Now, I've always been taught that education is the key to success, but I know a lot of people who are educated, but currently right now don't have any forms of what we may call success. And so I like to say it this way: education is not the key to success, but you are. You are the key to success. What you do with the education or the knowledge or the skills that you have, that determines your success. And foundation number 3 is all about keys. School gives you keys to the doors that you want to access. Now, the reason I say that for me, because I wanted to be a research scientist, I had to have certain keys in my life. One of those keys was an elementary school certificate, right, from Rainbow Elementary. Another key was a high school diploma from Southwest DeKalb High School. That's another key. A third key was a BS degree in chemistry key, and then a Master of Science degree key from Lehigh University in Polymer Science and Engineering, and then another key from Georgia Tech in Textile and Fiber Engineering. I needed all of those keys so that I can access the door called research scientist. And now, because I had those keys, I was able to get the job at NASA, or I was able to get the job at Vision. So what I want you to realize tonight is that what you do in school is very important. It's all about the skills that you want to access the doors that you want to go into. So that's foundational principle number 3, where you have to identify the keys that you want to have in life because you want to go through certain doors. Now, let's talk about some of these 3 mistakes. Mistake number 1 that every student is dealing with is the lack of motivation. This is mistake number 1. Now, the lack of motivation. Let's say, for example, that if I asked of you to swim 30 feet into the Atlantic Ocean, you may say, for what, Kantis? Why would I ever do that? And I'll say, well, just do it just to be doing it. But what if I said, swim 30 feet into the Atlantic Ocean to capture your sick mom, or your mom that's drowning, or your mom that's passed out in the ocean, or maybe it's your son or your daughter. Now your motive for going into the ocean is completely different now. Why? Because the motive was bigger than the initial motive. Initially, when I said swim into the ocean, like for what? But if someone was dying that you loved in the ocean, you would jump in the ocean to solve the problem, which is to retrieve that person out of the ocean. So your motive, or the motor behind what you do, is tied directly to your motivation. So right now, statistics show that 40% of students in middle school and high school, and also in college, 40% of them lack motivation in school. Now, what does this simply mean? This means that, hey, I don't want to go to school. I don't know why I'm in school, and I have some problems staying focused in school. So we're going to talk about what we can do there. Now, when we talk about staying focused, before we do that, here's one thing that you want to ask yourself. What's your why? Why are you in school? Why are you pursuing a certain degree? If you're in middle school, why in the world are you in middle school? If you're in high school, why are you in high school? Well, number one, we must know this, that based on the state that you're in, you're supposed to be in some form of education, a curriculum, some type of way, whether that's homeschool, public school, private school. So for the first 12 years of your life, I know where you should be. But the key thing about staying motivated is understanding your why. Why are you in school? And I have something called my motivation creed. If you can identify your why, then this will be the backbone of everything that you do. Remember, you jumped into the ocean because your why was big enough. Your loved one was drowning in the ocean. So since your loved one was drowning in the ocean, now you have a reason to swim out there. What's your why for school? Here's something I want you to take a look at. This is my motivation creed, and I encourage everyone to begin to fill this out and start to think about it. And the motivation creed says this: I want to obtain a degree in blank so that I can help blank accomplish blank. I want to obtain a degree in blank so that I can help blank accomplish blank. Now, I want to obtain a degree in, let's say, chemistry, so that I can help develop useful products so that other people can live healthy lives. You see? Or I want to obtain a degree in medicine so that I can help women with breast cancer accomplish a happy life. So you may say it this way: hey, I want to obtain a degree in medicine so that I can help women overcome breast cancer. Now, there are different reasons why people choose to do what they do, but if you can understand your why or the motivation behind what you do, then that will be the backbone of everything you do. So if you know your why, then your why is your motive, which also is now the motor for you getting up every single day. If your why is to obtain a degree or go into a certain field so you can make a lot of money to support your family, okay, well, that's your why. But your lack of motivation is determined by your why. Here's a second mistake that students are making: lack of focus. Now, what does a lack of focus mean? Now, you've been there, I'm pretty sure, where you spent some time, you sat down and you planned on studying and the telephone rang. Or you sat down and you planned on studying and the TV came on, or your TV show came on, or you became hungry. Lack of focus. Now, our brains right now, they have millions and millions of thoughts going on. And wherever you are right now, I'm pretty sure you have a lot of different thoughts going on. You're seeing the camera, seeing the microphone, you're hearing what I'm saying. Maybe you're taking notes, maybe you're in the chat room there. But the key thing that I want you to begin to start doing is starting to eliminate distractions. Yes, eliminate distractions. Think for a second. You sit down to study, and as you're studying, you plan on reviewing your math. Then your mom or your child or the telephone or something pulls you away from studying math. So now you're taking your energy over to the other thing that distracted you. Or maybe you're sitting down doing some homework and you have your Facebook open or your Facebook Messenger open. And when that happens, now the thing that you were focused on, you now turn your attention to that. Here's a cool example that I want to give you right now. Wherever you are right now, I want you to count in your mind from 1 to 10. Count in your mind from 1 to 10. Ready, set, go. Now say your name out loud. Kantis, right? Or Christy, or Nisi, or Bob. What happened to the count in your mind? It stopped, right? It stopped because now you had to shift your thoughts from your mind and what you were thinking about to saying something now. Well, that's how focus works. You can easily be distracted because of a shift of energy from your mind now being able to start thinking about your thoughts to produce those words. So here's what we're going to do, and I'm going to show you this later on about a lack of focus, is that you're going to start seeing focus like a muscle. Now, I have some cool biceps here a little bit. Now you can't see them. But if I want bigger biceps, if I want a bigger chest muscle, whatever it may be, then I have to work that muscle. And one of the ways that you can develop better focus is by focusing. So here's my recommendation. I have a rule called the 55 rule, and all you do is choose to focus on something for 50 minutes and then take a 5-minute break. Now, that may be a bit much for you, but what I want you to start doing is focusing on one thing for amount of time and do not change, right? Focus on something, stick to it, and don't allow certain distractions to move you out of the way. And one of the best ways I do that, if you have maybe have a cell phone or a kitchen timer, set that timer for, let's say, 20 minutes. And for 20 minutes, you choose to set your mind completely on math. And for those 20 minutes, all you do is train yourself to focus on one thing. Now, as you're working on this, you're going to be able to pull, something can be pulled away to have other thoughts, or maybe you get a distraction from somewhere else. But the key thing that you want to do is work on it, training yourself to focus on one thing at a time. Now, as we get into some of the study habits, I'm going to show you specifically what can be done to alter that, where you can eliminate some of the distractions that you have. And the way you do that is through making sure that your study chamber is set up the correct way. Now, the third big mistake that students have is, can I go to my screen here? Poor study skills. Poor study skills. So I'm going to give you some tips for academic success, but I'm going to show you specifically what I call my 7.25 habits or study habits for successful students. Now, of course, hopefully you can see there why I say 7.25. All righty. Good. So let's talk about some of these habits. So number one, we talked about the one mistake is lack of motivation. The second mistake is a lack of focus. We know that to develop better motivation, you need to have a huge why. Now, if you have a son or daughter and you're developing your why, sit down to have some conversations with them on why they're in school. What is it that they want to do in the future? Now, of course, they're young, but I believe that as you have the conversation more and more, then that will develop into something. Another way to motivate your child, I remember one of my goddaughters, she was doing pretty good in school. And I told her, I said, hey, for every A that you get in school, I'll give you $10. Now, because of this new motivation, she did what? She got all A's. So I found myself giving out money because now her motive for getting the A's was, hey, give me some money. I'm pretty sure if you want to, let's say, go on vacation, some kind of way you find the money to spend time to put aside so you can go on this vacation. So all of those things, understanding your motivation is key. Determining your focus, being able to focus is key as well. Now, one of the things I want to do here, no one likes to buy an ugly truck. And if you've ever seen an ugly truck, it's simply ugly. And what this simply means is that when you are in school, middle school, high school, and college, every new level you have to apply or show your rap sheet or your transcript. Colleges, when it's time to give away scholarships, they don't want to invest in ugly students. What's an ugly student? Where their rap sheet doesn't look the part, meaning you have a lot of bad grades, your test scores are low. So what I'm simply saying is that in everything you do, yeah, you want to play your A game. You want to put your best foot forward. You want to make sure that all across the board, your grades are high, because no one really wants to invest in an ugly truck. So one more check here. We have a little issue there. If you can, let's say, Christy, see if you can help Miss Stephanie. Help Stephanie there. She says she can't hear. She can't hear or see. Thank you, Christy. All right, good stuff. All right, here we go. Habit number one is simply this: listening. These are some habits that you have to develop. These are my 7.25 habits of highly successful students. Listening. Why do I say that? Because students, you spend about 80% of your day doing what? Listening, right? 80% of your day is all about listening. You spend 12 years of your life listening in class, Monday through Friday. So how do we listen better? We come to class well rested. We come to class energized. We stay prepared and ahead of the teacher. What I simply mean by this is that most teachers give a syllabus, and they sort of outline, or they should outline, what will be taking place that semester, that quarter. And then what you want to do is to make sure that you sort of stay ahead of the teacher. So when you're studying, you have spent some time looking at the homework or the book or the textbooks or the curriculum before you get to class. So now when the teacher starts to speak about it, it's not new to you, it's now a refresher. So now when you're listening, you're starting to listen from the standpoint of, okay, yeah, I remember seeing this in my notebook, or I remember hearing about this, or I remember reading this in my notes. So now when they are talking about it, you can start thinking and listening and say, okay, how can I apply this? Another cool thing you can do for listening is to sit in the energy T. Now, the energy T is the first few rows up front in the classroom and the rows down the middle. Now, if you don't have assigned seats, and even if you do have assigned seats, go to your teacher and say, hey, can I sit in the T? Or can I sit somewhere in the front rows of the class or up through the middle? Why is this important? It's important because when you sit in the energy T, just by default, you're going to respect your teacher. You're going to sit there with the mindset that you're going to focus on what she or he is saying, and then you can easily see the board. As well, everything going on behind you, it won't distract you now because you're sitting in the energy T. Another way to listen to build this skill up is to focus all your attention on the what. What is my professor saying? What is my teacher saying? What and how does this apply to my life? Like I say that, evaluate what you hear. How does this apply? The other day I was helping a young man in the area of math, and I asked him a simple question. It's like, hey, how does this apply to everyday life? And we broke that concept down to going to have dinner, where we had, I gave him like $25. And I say, okay, for $25, use this $25 to purchase us 4 items to have a great dinner. Based on the math and the homework that he was doing, he was now able to take the $25 example and go purchase us 4 items for dinner. So whenever you are in class and you hear a concept, you ask yourself, okay, what is this about? How does this apply? And when you're listening, make sure you get the most important digits. And another slide, I'll show you what this means, but get the most important digits. Here's the next one, note taking. Note taking. This is a skill that you must develop. Here's what to record. Record the most important information. The major cause was, this is something that you should remember. A lot of times teachers say this. So if you are a student or you have a student, begin to train them when they start to take their notes, and I'll show you a really good way to do that. But you want to start listening for certain type of words. And rather than get in a position where you are transcribing everything the teacher is saying in time, rather than writing everything on the board, start writing down in your notes the major cause was, or this was caused by that. Hold on for a second here. You say we'll be able to see it on the iPad. On iPad. To help you there. Or Firefox. There we go. Write down charts, back to note taking, write down charts, diagrams, and key phrases. Now, here's something I love that I have want to show you is the 50-50 strategy. And it works this way. And I'm going to switch back over so you can see me live here. So the 50-50 strategy works this way. Let's say you have a note. Look at a piece of paper here for you. Sorry about that. All right, let's say you have a piece of paper, and this is your paper, or these are where you're taking your notes. The 50-50 strategy says this. Take your piece of paper and fold it in half. You got that? Fold it in half. And if you can, put a dotted line down the middle. And with the 50-50 strategy, what I want you to start doing is taking your notes in class on the left-hand side of the piece of paper. So when you're in class, everything the teacher is saying, you know, the cause of, or this is important, the charts, the diagrams, take those notes on the left-hand side of the piece of paper. Then when you get home during time to study or prepare for a test, on the right side of the piece of paper, you make up potential test questions that go along with what's happening on the left-hand side. So the left-hand side, take your notes. The right-hand side, when you're at home, going through your homework and studying, you write potential test questions that go along with the actual notes there, okay? So that's the 50-50 strategy. Left-hand side, take your in-class notes. On the right-hand side, begin to develop study notes for what happens on the left-hand side. Now, the next habit is managing your time. Now, people talk about managing time. I don't really believe in managing time because right now we all have 24 hours. And because we have 24 hours in a day, you can't manage 24 hours, whether it's whatever you're doing in life, 24 hours, they're going to happen. 7 days of the week, they're going to happen. So you cannot manage time. You can only manage yourself. Now, what can you do where managing yourself is concerned? Let's say, for example, that I gave you $168. Now, $168, that's representative of 168 hours in a day. And because you have 168 hours in a day, just like you have $168, if I told you to give me $1 for every hour that you're doing something, you will do a better job managing that. Most people, let's say, for example, spend about 7 to 8 hours a night sleeping. So let's say they spend 8 hours a night sleeping, then over a course of 7 days, that's about 56 hours. If we round up, you know, on the weekend, sleep a little bit more, that is 60 hours per week. Now, from that, let's say if I required of you to give me $60, all that simply means is now you're going to start managing that more better. Let's say if you're doing extracurricular activities, maybe you play football, basketball, sports, maybe you're in gymnastics, maybe you sing in the choir. You have to take all of that time and manage it, meaning manage yourself where that time is concerned. So based on everything you do, 168 hours in a day, look at it as money. You don't want to lose money. You don't want to lose your precious green. So do the same thing where time is concerned. You may have heard the statement that time is money. Well, time is money. And you start seeing it that way, begin to not manage time, begin to manage yourself. So everything you do, that's one thing you want to start doing there, managing your time. If you have any questions here, yeah, definitely hit me in the chat room there, and I or Christy will be able to answer you. Now, here's the cool thing about it. When you start to see school as your full-time job, pay now so you can get paid later. If you want to, you can tweet that or share that. But see school as your full-time job, pay now so you can get paid later. Whether you're in middle school, high school, or college, in most cases, you don't have a job. You're not working a full-time career. So check in at 8 o'clock. You have classes in the morning. Then you would take a lunch break. Then you have classes in the afternoon, and then you would leave. The same thing works for people who work a corporate job. They check in time, work in the morning, have lunch, and then they check out. But the key thing about the person working in corporate America, they're spending all of that time focused on what they have going on there at work. And the same thing with you as a student. See school as your full-time job. You check in. You focus all of your time there in the morning, take a lunch break, relax, hang out with your friend, have great conversation and fellowship, and then the afternoon, work some more in school, and then check out of school, and then you go home to start studying. Studying, that's still part of your full-time job. So now you have to plan your entire day that way. Here's another habit. This is something I want everyone to say in the chat room for me. This will be my best school year ever. That is a positive confession that I have, and I say everywhere I go. And I encourage you to start saying that this will be your best school year ever. I believe that if you are intentional with these habits, then you will be able to make that declaration and make it with confidence. So if you see that tonight, if you can hear that tonight, go ahead and type in the chat room and say, hey, this will be my best school year ever. I just want to make sure that you believe it. And if so, start saying it. Start posting it in places where, in the bathroom, in your bedroom, where now you will begin to reiterate that. You start seeing yourself successful. You start seeing your grades go higher and higher. You start seeing yourself pass the test. You know, that was one of the things I had to do to get over my own personal birth defect. When I was growing up, I was very insecure. I grew up having low self-esteem. I used to walk around all the time with my hands in my pocket. But I had to tell myself, you know what? I'm the coolest guy with 7.25 fingers. That's kind of funny, but it's true. I am the coolest guy with 7.25 fingers. And where your school year is concerned, where your goals are concerned, every single day, start telling yourself that this will be your best school year ever. Start telling yourself that your grades will be the best they ever can be. Start telling yourself you're an A student. Start telling yourself you're on the honor roll. Start telling yourself that you can pass this test. All right, here's the next study habit: focusing. Focusing. Now, multitasking is lame. Focus will bring you fame. Now, here's what focus looks like. Here's what focus looks like. Now, if you were live in front of me, I would do this on purpose so you can see me. This is what focus looks like. Where you're looking at one thing for a period of time, and you're not allowing outside forces to determine what's going on. So yeah, I'm focused right now on the whole of this camera. And when you're doing classwork, when you're doing preparing for a test, when you're reading a book, this is what focus looks like. Again, this is a muscle. And I'm going to show you in a few more slides here how to eliminate distractions so you can focus. When you focus, you get things done faster because you have all of your energy focused on this one thing. I know this probably looks kind of goofy, right? And probably spooky, right? I'm looking at you. Yeah, that's what focus is all about. Okay, that hurt my eyes. But yeah, focus is just that, focusing on one thing. So when I say focus, I'm simply saying focus on that one thing, get it done, and then jump to the next thing. I tell people all the time, multitasking is lame. Focus will bring you fame. I like the whole Beyonce concept. Beyonce, she's doing one thing. She's focusing on music. And because she's focusing on music, guess what? She has a successful music career because she's focused. President Obama, he should be focusing on politics and the government, but he's not trying to be an athlete, or he's not trying to maybe start a business on the side, but most of his energy is all on running this country. Focus is just like this, being able to focus on one word at a time. Here's what you can do. Focus is like a muscle, and it has to be developed. Take a kitchen timer, begin to train yourself. Focus on one thing for 55 minutes, and then rest, relax for 5. Now, this 55-5 rule, it doesn't have to be 55-5. It could be 40-20. It could be 50 minutes and 10 minutes of rest. All I'm asking you to do is set specific time aside to focus on one thing, whether it's doing your homework, reading a book. Focus, focus, focus. Here's another habit: reading. Rich people read books. Poor people watch TV. Rich people have large libraries in the home. Poor people have large big screen televisions. Now, this is a statement that a lot of people are like, what? I can't believe you said that. Well, let me say it another way. Successful people read books. Unsuccessful people, they watch TV. Successful people have large libraries in the home. Unsuccessful people have large big screen televisions. What this simply means is to invest in yourself. Begin to read books, look at documentaries, if it's ebooks, if it's if it's going to a workshop, if it's going spending time in a seminar like you are tonight, you're investing in yourself. 60 minutes of reading a good book, 60 minutes of spending some time reading versus 60 minutes of watching a reality TV show. Guess what? Reading, I guarantee you, you're going to feel more empowered after reading for 60 minutes versus watching television. And television does just that. It tells a vision. Okay, so reading. Now here's some tips on better reading. All students have books. The most successful ones read them. If you're in college, some students I know spend close to $700, $800 with books. Don't just purchase them, but use them and read them. Now here's some tips for reading. When you're reading, don't move your lips. Move your eyes, say words in your mind, flow with your finger, take in large groups of words, avoid backtracking and rereading, adjust your speed, use the dictionary when needed. These are some tips for reading. Hey, when you sit down and read something, hey, don't move your lips. Don't look word to it. Take in a phrase of words or a group of words and keep your eyes moving. I know I've spent some time reading when I was younger, and I would get stuck on one sentence, either because I was sleepy, either because I was trying to articulate the words as I read through the passage there. But those are some tips there. Don't move your lips, say words in your mind, flow with your finger, take in large groups of words, avoid backtracking, adjust your speed, and use the dictionary. Now here's some study tips. When, where, and how to study. When to study, I recommend to people to study when they are most alert. The best time of day to study your harder subjects is when you're most alert. Now, most people, most of their energy is in the morning, or most of their energy is in the afternoon or late in the evening. For me, I'm an early morning, late at night type of person. I have a lot of energy then. So I focus my attention on doing the things that are most important to me. So when you are studying, study those harder subjects when you have most of your energy. So what this may mean is that rather than coming home from school and immediately doing your homework, it may mean take some time, rest for 2 hours, and then build up some energy and then begin to study. Because listen, I understand how it feels. You go to school from 8 o'clock to 5 o'clock to come home to do some homework. You're tired. So maybe come home, rather than doing homework immediately, take a 2-hour nap. After that nap, begin to study. And you have to maneuver your schedule however you see fit to make that happen. But always try to study when you're most alert and study those more challenging subjects when you are most alert. Where to study? Study in your study chamber, and I'm going to share that with you in a few minutes. Where and how. Here's what we're going to do real quick here. I will give you this in a follow-up, but identifying your learning style. Your learning style is understanding if you learn best by hearing, by seeing, or by doing. What I mean is that you could be in a classroom and you can listen to the teacher, and all of your information is going in and you're receiving it because you hear the information, and now you're able to partake of it. And then you have some students who learn best by seeing. They see the notes, they see how the examples are written on the board, or they see in a book, or they see in their notes how something is worked out. That's a great learning style. And then you have some people that learn best by experience, meaning hands-on. That may mean working a lot of problems, being able to do an experiment that lays out those concepts. And then you have some students that learn best by all of those methods. So what you want to do is identify your best learning style. Do you learn best by hearing? Do you learn best by seeing? Do you learn best by doing? Or do you learn best by all three? Somebody said a 2-hour nap. Yeah, that's funny, right? Yeah, whatever it takes to get the rest you need. I just want to make sure that you're energized. Okay, here's some doo-doos for studying. Doo-doos for studying. Prioritize your study time. Study the challenging subjects first. First, as well as when you're most energetic. Number 2, identify when and where you will study and with whom if needed. Study continually throughout the school year, not just before a test. Study in a clean and organized environment. Somewhere on my website, I go through at kantissimmons.com and I break down the specifics of how to build a study chamber. And you want to make sure that your environment, your study room is clean and organized. Here's some more do's. Keep your notebooks and notes organized. It will help you when needing to refer back. Drink plenty of water. Yes, drink plenty of water. Like I need some water right now, but the only thing I have near me is some orange juice or something there, right? But what you want to do, drink plenty of water. Make sure that your study area is clean and cool. You ever been to a movie theater? You ever ask yourself, why is the movie theater so cold? Because they want you to stay alert. If you ever the room is cool because they want you to stay alert. So make sure that your room is just that. And study in well-lit conditions. Here are a few more. Set goals and timetables for your study sessions. In this time period, I'm going to study A, B, C, and Z. And once I'm done, I'm going to have me a bowl of ice cream. I'll set a goal, set a timetable. Once that's done, I'm going to reward myself. Be aggressive to proactively protect your study time. Be aggressive about it, be proactive about it. Then number 11 there is to guard and protect your study time by staying focused. If you have a cell phone, hey, put your cell phone on mute or allow the voicemail to work for you. If Facebook or Instagram or Google Chat or Twitter, whatever, shut that down completely and be aggressive about guarding everything you're doing with studying is concerned. And again, take a 5-minute break every 55 minutes. We talked about that earlier. Thank you, thank you, thank you. All right, here's some do-don'ts. Here's some do-don'ts. Do-don'ts. Avoid studying in the bed. You will eventually fall asleep. Have you ever done that? You see, I have this friend, and his name is B-U-T-T. And I had to train my B-U-T-T, not the S-I-T on the B-E-D, while trying to S-T-U-D-Y-I-N-G, because he would always fall A-S-L-E-E-P. Now, if you followed that and got that, and if you've ever fallen asleep in the bed, just let me know there in the chat room. Yeah, see, the bed is not made for studying. The bed is made for sleeping. The bed is made for sleeping. Just like the bathroom. Let's say, tonight, after this webinar, I get my dinner and I go to the bathroom. I put my dinner plate on the top of the toilet. That's nasty, right? Or what if I went upstairs and stood in the kitchen sink and started bathing myself tonight? No, those places have their set purpose. The toilet, the bathroom has a set purpose. The kitchen sink has a set purpose. The dining room, the living room, the bedroom have set purposes. What I want you to start doing is to develop a study area, and it is the only thing you do is that you study there. You study in the study area. For example, have you ever tried to study and you sit down on the sofa to study, and then your body says, I think I want to watch television. Your body is sort of confused. Now, this is a bad example, but I like to use it. When you go through the bathroom and your body knows exactly what to do when you get to the bathroom, whether it's getting in the shower or delivering some waste, your body knows exactly what to do. So you want to start training yourself to study in one place. And the only thing that you do is to study, okay? Avoid studying while on the phone. Let voicemail work for you. I just mentioned that. Turn off the TV. You can't concentrate on two things. You are not that smart. Listen, your brain has a lot of things, a lot of different thoughts going on. And you want to take the massiveness of your brain and focus all of your energy on that one thing. Even though you may say, I'm not looking at the television is still on, and your brain is now hearing the sound, your brain is processing the colors. So turn that television off and just focus on that. Here are a few more do-don'ts going to be in this real soon here. Turn off all the hip-hop music, the rap music. If anything, use soft classical, slow jazz, or earth tones. Yeah, Lil Wayne, he can't get you in the mood for studying. Beyonce, she can't get you in the mood of studying. Put on some soft sounds. Actually, a few years ago, my brother, who's a musician, we went into the studio and we created an audio product called Study Sounds. And there with Study Sounds, we played the frequencies that have been known to cause a person to focus better. So if you want to take a look at that, it's on my website there at kantissimmons.com. Take a look there at the products or the resources area. All right. And here's another one. Avoid studying, eating greasy or heavy meals. Avoid drinks with caffeine or drinks with a lot of sugar. They will eventually make you sluggish. Here's some do-don'ts. Avoid studying in high traffic areas. If you have a house with your family, don't study in the living room where all the family walks in and out. You will get distracted. Avoid studying with those who you have a crush on. For my high school students, my college students, hey, you don't want to study with the people that you are attracted to. You know what will happen, right? And then number 9, avoid trying to study while text messaging, chatting on the internet, or responding to emails. One more time for me in the chat room there. Go ahead and let me know that this will be your best school year ever. 2 more there. This should have been number 6 right here, studying. The next one is researching. Researching. Here's one thing I want you to start doing. I want you to start seeing yourself as a researcher. What this simply means is that whenever you're doing something, you have to identify what's the problem. When I was a research scientist at NASA and also at Supervision, I asked myself, okay, what's the problem with this aircraft? Or what's the problem with the materials on this shuttle? Then we had to go explore and then design some concepts or put together some thoughts, some opinions, some possibilities to solve this problem. And then we began to create. When you're studying, when you are investigating anything, whether it's writing a school paper, a term paper, whether it's solving problems with your homework, you want to think like a researcher. What's the problem? And then what can I do to design a solution? And then you take the concepts that you know. You take the Pythagorean theorem. You take the concepts with your vowels and your nouns, whatever it is you're studying. Take the theory of polymerization. I know that's kind of deep, right? But you want to take whatever it is and design and create some of the answers for it. And then try it out to see if it works. And then if it does, okay, what can I do to make it better? So that's a habit that I encourage people to do, to start thinking like a researcher. At the end of the day, when you go into a certain career field, people pay you to solve problems. And whatever career you want to go into, people will pay you to solve problems. Okay, so think like a researcher. And the last one is thinking. Thinking. I have, over the last few years, I've spent a considerable amount of time thinking. And with everything that we have going on right now with life, we have the internet, we have distractions, we have television, we have sports, we have family concerns, we have financial aid, we have going to work. Whatever you're dealing with in life, I encourage you to take some time to do 2 things. Number 1, spend quality time sitting down and really thinking. Focus on what you're thinking about. And then from that, also analyze, how are my thoughts setting me up for success? Remember I said earlier, there was a time period in my life that I felt insecure. So I thought a certain way. I thought I was a loser, or I thought to myself that I wasn't significant. And believe it or not, this was my mess. And because I thought this way about one area, I started telling myself, you know what? I'm going to fail this test. I can't do this. I'm going to come up with low test scores. The teacher doesn't like me. That's why I got a bad grade. So now, spend some quality time thinking. And then number 2, Start thinking about what you're thinking about. And then now the way you're thinking, ask yourself, are my thoughts setting me up for positive results? For example, in the good book, it says this, as a man thinketh, so is he. I like to say it this way. As a student thinketh, so is he. As a student continues to think, so will his grades be. So I want to encourage you tonight to take all of these habits and start thinking about what you're thinking about. Another cool things that I want to inspire of you, as I mentioned earlier, is to start typing in, this will be my best school year ever. As you start to look at your best school year ever, as you start to identify with that and start to say that, that should become a part of your thinking. I am an A student. I spend time focusing. I am great. No one or nothing can stop me. I can be whatever I want to be. I can do whatever I want to do. I can have whatever I want to have. Your great thoughts will produce great results. Start seeing yourself successful. The other day, a young man that I mentor, him and I was having a conversation. And I said, pause for a second. He was about to take a test that day. And I said, imagine yourself having an A+ on that test. Imagine yourself having 100 and getting all the answers right. He said, what? I said, yeah, see yourself. And so we focused in, and I said, open your eyes. He said, why? I said, because you can think with your eyes open. It's called your imagination. Start to see yourself passing the test. He came back to me the next day and said, guess what, Kantis? Guess what? I did really good on my test. I said, how you know? Because it felt like, and I could see myself. A few days later, he got an A on the test. I think he missed like two questions on that test. So how you think about yourself, that's one of the last that's so important. If we want to go back over all of those habits tonight, just in case you missed them, listening, making sure that you spend time listening. Make sure you see my screen there. You can jot these down and start to work on them. If you have any questions, then do that. Also, if you hold on here, I'm gonna give you guys a very special offer at the end. Listening, note-taking, managing yourself versus managing time, focusing. These are the habits. Spending time reading. Yes, read those books. Rich people read books, poor people watch TV. And by the way, I have a large library and I have a large big screen television. So don't judge me. Hashtag. Studying, went through those do-dos and do-don'ts of studying. Taking time to research whatever you're working on, whatever you're studying, begin to research that. And thinking. Those are the 7.25 habits of highly successful students. One of the things I want to do is let you know that I so appreciate each of you tonight on this call. And I would love to hear from you guys in the chat room. Just let me know, what was your big aha? What was your big aha tonight? Simply meaning, what did you hear tonight that is something that you can definitely use? In the chat room, let me know, what was one of these habits that you say, wow, Kantis, this was something that I can use and I thought about that, and what you're going to do about it. In the chat room, big aha. Big aha, I see here, sleeping in bed. Okay, you're going to stop doing that. All right, somebody said here, think like a researcher. See another person. Yes, this will be my best school year ever. Okay. If you have any questions, also leave me that in the chat box. Also want to bring to your attention something that I'm so excited about. Is a special event that I'm doing for African-American men. You've heard the numbers probably. I'm not sure if you have, but 7,000 students drop out of school every single day. 1.3 million high school seniors didn't graduate last year. and 1 out of 3 college freshmen. Only one of them will actually graduate on time and find a job in their career field. But you know what? For African-American males, those numbers, they're a little bit more devastating. 1 out of 3 high school freshmen, 1 out of 3 high school students, males, only one of them will graduate. 1 out of 3 high school freshmen, said it again, 1 out of 3 high school students will actually end up in jail. So think about that. 1 of the 3 will graduate. 1 of the 3 will go to jail. Those numbers are hard. How about this one? Only 12% of our 4th grade boys are on the right reading level. Only 12%. Only 12% of our 8th grade boys, these are black boys, African-American boys, are on the appropriate math level. We have some issues. So what I've developed is a program called You Be the First. You Be the First is my one-day academic success seminar for African-American males. And I'm so excited to have that event on November 26th. Yes. November 20. Did I say that right? November 26th. Yeah. No, November 22nd. I'm sorry. November 22nd. I think the 26th is somebody's birthday. But November 22nd, if you can go to youbethefirst.com, because you're here on this call tonight, if you know a young man in the Atlanta area or anywhere in the nation, if they want to come to a You Be the First event, what I'll do for you tonight is that if you want to sponsor one young man, then you can bring 2 young men free. If you're a young man or you have a son, you can sponsor your son, and then you can have your son bring 2 friends to that event. So that's what I have for you. I'm going to check back in the chat box, but go to You Be the First. You Be the First is that great event, and you'll hear more about it. And let's look at a few questions here. Good stuff. Felicia Teasley said, hey, Felicia. She said, reading strategies. Good stuff. My big aha tonight with Stephanie, the importance of determining your study place. Yes, good stuff. Yes, the webinar will be available after today. You had technical challenges, I understand. I had a few myself. We'll be doing more of these. And Felicia says, yes, I thought it was November 15th. It was. We had to move to the 22nd. And for those of you who have already registered for the 15th event, I have a cool bonus for you. And because of that, those that have already registered for the 15th event, I'm going to give you and your son 2 months of personal coaching. I have a mentorship program. It's called KantisAcademy.com. You can go check out that program, but it's KantisAcademy.com. And if you've already registered for the 15th, due to some reasons I can't explain right now, done with my venue, and I've had some youth programs in the schools that want to get involved. They said, Kantis, we simply need some more time. So I said, you know what? Let me move it back 1 week. And that's what I'm doing. So You Be the First, November 22nd. For those of you who've already registered, I'm going to throw in 2 months of free personal mentorship with me and your son. If it's your family, I can make that happen as well. Well, tonight, thank you guys so much for participating on this call. I would love to, I'm gonna get in the chat room here to spend some more time talking to you all, but share this webinar tonight. There will be a replay. Check your email, probably be prepared in the next few days. But I just want you to know that you can be whatever you want to be. You can have whatever you want to have. You can do whatever you want to do if you allow your hopes to outweigh your fears. Hey, my name is Kantis Simmons. I'm the coolest guy with 7.25 fingers. And remember this, there's only one game in life that counts, and that's your A game. Have a good night.